It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Larry Maggot is here, Rich DeMuro, and we want to introduce our newest member of the Twit family, Doc Searles. We've got a great show planned for you. We're going to talk about Elon Musk, his plans to reopen the factory, and what that baby's name really means. Do you still feel safe using Amazon? And let's talk about why Zoom beat all the other guys, from the guy who wrote the article saying, stop using Zoom. It's all coming up next on Twit. This Week in Tech comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes enterprise-level security simple for your remote workforce. Check it out at lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twit, This Week in Tech, episode 770, recorded May 10th, 2020. The Vanna White Effect. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Expressvpn. Now that a lot of you are working from home, it's even more important to choose a VPN you trust to protect you from online threats. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/twit. And by Worldwide Technology. Worldwide Technology's Advanced Technology Center is like no other testing and research lab, with more than $500 million of equipment, including solutions from key partners like NVIDIA. And it's virtual, so you can access it 24/7. To learn more and get insights into all the ATC offers, go to wwt.com/twit. And by Casper. Casper is a sleep brand that makes expertly designed products to help you get your best rest, one night at a time. Get $100 towards select mattresses by visiting casper.com/twit1 and using the promo code twit1 at checkout. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. I'm going to apologize in advance to Rich DeMuro because you're surrounded with old farts. And and we're just going to talk a lot about the good old days. Rich DeMuro is Rich on Tech. He fills in for me whenever I'm not around on KFI. Good news, Rich. You never have to fill in for me again. I'm not going anywhere.
I've seen the trend. I've seen that.
You also hear him on KFI and KTLA in Los Angeles and anywhere else. I mean, you're everywhere now.
Yeah, a bunch of different stations, but primarily KTLA is the big one.
RichOnTech.tv. It's great to see you, Rich. Rich is quarantined at home with 2 little boys. 2 kids. Are they both boys?
Yeah, 2 boys. You got it.
Yep.
Yep.
How's that been?
Never a dull moment. It's been fun. They're actually swimming right now. So
your space looks so clean and pristine. Either you don't let the kids in, or if you just turn the camera a little bit, it's chaos.
Oh, 100%. It's and when I'm not in here, the kids are literally doing YouTube videos and podcasting, and every one of my switches is changed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a relief. I say that because sometimes people look so good in their houses. I think, oh my God, I'm failing at life. So I just want everybody to understand it's easy with the camera. If you saw the wires on either side of this, you would know. Anyway, welcome back, Rich. Joining us also, it's great to see Larry Maggot again from CBS News Radio, connectsafely.org, larrysworld.com. I guess now, Larry, you and I, we can call ourselves senior members of the tech core or something.
I'm afraid so.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I were to pan my camera to the left or the right,
please don't.
The room is messier than ever because I actually cleaned up my background and by shoving everything off.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, that's effective. Very effective.
Yeah, it works.
We were talking before the show. It's funny because now we're seeing everybody's homes and everybody's backgrounds because everybody's doing what we've done for years.
Yeah, including network television folks. I love it. Looking at people's bookshelves.
Some of them have abnormally normal lives. It's very depressing.
How is that possible? And some of them, by the way, have satellite trucks parked in their lawn.
Yeah. You know who?
A few of them.
You know whose house looks really nice? Anderson Cooper. When he was home for a little bit, it was beautiful. And of course, he's got style. He's got panache. He's got Gloria Vanderbilt for a mom. Speaking of which,
Good roots there,
Good
too.
roots.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers who are watching us. I also want to introduce somebody who hasn't been on Twit in a long time, and that's a terrible oversight. My good friend Doc Searles, who is a legend, former editor of the Linux Journal. He was one of the authors of the Clue Train Manifesto, Searles.com. And Doc has a new job. We're very happy to take this time to announce that Doc will be hosting our Floss show starting on Wednesday, Floss Weekly. Randall Schwartz, the host of that show for 13 years. I did the math. I couldn't believe it. I started with Chris DeBona back in 2007 or 8. Shortly thereafter, Chris got a job at Google. Randall came along. Randall's been fantastic. He's got a new gig. He's getting very busy. So I said, I know somebody who might be really fun to host Floss Weekly, and a guy who's been an open source advocate and supporter for a long time, Doc Searles. Plus, and it's a real plus in this business, you're a radio guy going way back when.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny. I'll confess to being a fart, but maybe not an old one. I don't know, even though chronologically
it's the best
that's
kind
true.
of fart, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is that a reel-to-reel tape
an
deck
actual
behind you?
reel-to-reel
Yeah,
tape
look at
deck
that,
over my
look at that.
shoulder. So I mean,
That
that's
is ancient, yeah.
I was telling Leo earlier, this is how little a market there is even in 1990 for reel-to-reel. This is the only thing left in a rental house that I moved to in San Carlos in 1990. The completely bare house except for this
left that
wonderful quadraphonic tape recorder.
Yeah, that was expensive.
Quadraphonic was oh yeah,
in its day.
It was the Dolby surround sound of its day.
Yeah.
Quad was.
I have an old Ampex tape recorder in my reel-to-reel in my living room, which I doubt if it works. I don't dare plug it in, but it's a lovely piece of furniture.
Okay, wait. Okay, I know we're still getting through the intros, but this is a problem that I have as a tech person is the stuff that you acquire over the years. I don't want to throw it out because I know that old iPod is going to look cool behind me in 20 years. So I don't want to throw it away.
Right.
Don't
look behind me.
I do have a little museum, and when we were in the old place and had 10,000 square feet in the basement, people would send me stuff. People would just out of the blue, here's my old Amiga. I don't know what to do with it. Here's a radio. Here's a Tandy. And so we had a ton of stuff we just had to get rid of. And now at this point, I don't even want this. And John knows this. He's running the board today. I do a Leo's garage sale about once a year at Twit, where I bring in all the poor impulse purchases I've made over the last year and pile them on the conference table and say, have at it, has is, I won't fix it. I don't know even what some of this stuff is. But you know, it's interesting. It's always gone. Even I did that a couple of weeks ago and it's gone almost all of it already. So my recommendation, Rich, you're a young guy. Don't start saving this stuff. You'll regret it.
Oh, okay. Let it all go.
You'll regret it.
One thing I'll tell you, it will not be worth more money in the future. Very unlikely anyway.
I can recommend moving. Just move a lot. And then if you move a lot.
And leave stuff behind.
Well, you evaluate.
I have done that.
You're looking at it and you
as
think,
a reporter,
why would
I've
I haul
done that
50
many
pounds
times.
of whatever?
Yeah, if you have to haul it, the equation becomes very real. I agree.
We have stuff in our house that we are still in the boxes that we moved 26 years ago that we haven't unpacked yet.
So that's a sign.
That's the problem.
That's the important stuff.
Yeah, that's the real important stuff you can't live without. Anyway, Doc, welcome to the Twit Network. We're really thrilled to have you. I can't imagine
Thank you.
a better
It's
person
a real privilege.
to
It's a
take
lot
over
of
the
fun.
helm. And of course, Dan Lynch and Simon Phipps, Jonathan Bennett, Aaron Newcomb, the people who've been helping Randall all through the show are going to continue on and help out with the show. I expect it will continue in its excellence under the watchful eyes of Doc Searles. So yeah, we're excited. Wednesday's the first episode. So let's see. I keep wondering if there's going to be any tech news. You know, each week I go, are we going to have anything to talk about? Thank God Elon Musk exists. XAEA12. Can't really be the name of the kid. Elon Musk and Grimes have had a baby. They had a son on Monday. Elon tweeted out that strange name. Joe Rogan asked him on Thursday, how do you say the name? Musk says the name's pretty much pronounced XAE12. AE, some speculated it was actually Ash. It's a leaded A and E. Some languages have it. It's often pronounced Ash. Musk said, first of all, Grimes is the one that mostly came up with the name. It's just X, the letter X. Grimes in her tweet said, it's the unknown, X. AE is pronounced Ash, so obviously the kid's name is Ash, right? You're going to, just the rest of it is extra. And then A12, Elon said, is my contribution. The A12 stands for the Archangel 12, the precursor to the SR-71, the Blackbird, which was the Phantom spy plane, right? The coolest plane ever, Elon said. If you want to hear Musk say it, he says it 37 seconds into Joe's show. Elon did not toke up on the show, though, I think, right? Not this time. Holy cow.
Learned his lesson.
Learned his lesson.
Good.
Anyway, thank you, Elon, for giving us something to talk about. That's Twit for the week. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye. No. I'm sometimes tempted. Actually, Elon's in a battle with the county of Alameda. He's actually suing them. He has been very vocal about COVID-19 being, I don't know if he thinks it's a hoax. He doesn't quite go that far. But he really wants his factory, the Tesla factory in Alameda, in Fremont, to be open. The county shut it down. He kept it open after the shelter-in-place orders, and the county said, no, you're not essential. Shut it down. He now seeks injunctive and declaratory relief against the county. He wants to bring back about 30% of the workers to get them working on cars. I doubt Elon's selling a lot of cars, but he does need to get production up for a variety of reasons, including the fact that he gets a bonus if he can get production up.
You know, I've been in the factory, and there are a lot of robots in that factory. In fact, I was there during full production, and there were relatively few people in the factory, compared to a traditional auto factory. So as much as I fully believe in waiting as long as necessary to make sure our health comes before our economy, I actually wonder whether he could open it and still maintain a lot of distance because of the robots.
It's funny you had that reaction because I expected more robots when I toured the factory. Oh. When I went down to pick up my Model X, I toured the factory. They have giant German robots that do very strange things. For instance, at one point, two of them pick up the half-assembled car and flip it over and raise it up to put it on a second raised assembly line so the workers can work on the underneath the chassis. But honestly, there's still people doing most of the assembly. It's not like for instance, the Lexus plant, which is almost entirely robotic. There are cars that are made entirely robotically, but there are still a lot of assembly line workers, and that's a dangerous job, especially in any time.
By the way, he's also
10,000 people work in that factory.
And he also is threatening, or he said he's going to move his headquarters out of Palo Alto, out of California. So the mayor of Palo Alto is now doing whatever he can to convince Elon to stay in Palo Alto.
People should just say, fine, Elon, go. He wants to go to Nevada, where where his Gigafactory is, or Texas. Mm-hmm. But, you have to wonder.
He's also selling all of his houses this week. I mean, this guy, he had more news in 1 week than some people have in a year.
Yeah. I mean, the Wall Street Journal published an article, Elon Musk, tech's cash poor billionaire. Aww.
Poor guy.
Aww. Is that what it is? He wants a wad of money? Oh, let me explain why he needs the $75 million, which is what he's asking for his 3 California mansions. He needs the cash so he can buy his stock options so he can maintain his equity stake 20%, $28 billion worth.
Is that?
Yeah.
Is that why he said it was too high? Because he wants to buy it at a lower price? Oh, great.
Look, at first it all seems crazy. And then he doesn't take any salary. His compensation entitles him, according to the Wall Street Journal, to stock awards worth more than $50 billion if the company passes certain milestones by 2028. He became eligible at the end of April for the first tranche of these stock options because Tesla's market value had stayed above $100 billion for a specified amount of time. But he needs $592 million to exercise so that he can get that $1 billion worth of stock. So he's not that poor, I guess.
I go through that same calculus.
I know how he
in my head,
feels,
you know?
right?
Yeah. 500 million here, 500 million there. It's tough.
He did say when the Wall Street Journal asked, I'm trying to make my life as simple as possible right now. So it'll only keep things that have sentimental value. It's not that I need the money.
Well, that's why you need 3 houses. You know, if you want to keep it simple, hold it down.
I bet he doesn't keep his old iPods.
No, I bet you're right.
He just
he even put his old car into space. I mean, talk about getting rid of something.
That's a good way to get rid of something. I bet it was a tax write-off.
I remember when I interviewed him many, many years ago, and this was like before the new Model X or whatever. And I asked him, I said, "What car do you drive?" Because I was curious, because he couldn't drive a Tesla at the time. And I think it's the same. Well, now I'm sure he's driving a Tesla, but it was like an Audi. It was like one of those Audi SUVs, I think it was.
It's hard. I know when you can't drive your Tesla, you got to drive your Audi. What are you going to do? That's life, right? You still have a Model S, right, Larry?
I have the Model 3.
3? Oh, that's right. You love the 3.
And I actually got the new hardware chip put in just before the lockdown. And so I can take advantage of this new software, which stops automatically at stop signs, red lights, and as a bonus, it stops at green lights.
How's that?
Whether you want it to or not.
So you used it?
Oh, I'm not driving a lot, but I have had a few errands that I've done.
And so you say it stops at any light?
It stops at any light, regardless of its color.
Not
very
so
non-discriminatory.
Oh, wow.
Not so useful.
You can hit the accelerator or flip the little thing, and it'll go through it if you do that. But I think it's great for stop signs, but for lights,
it does recognize stop signs.
Yeah, and recognizes lights. It'll tell you what color the light is.
Oh, but
it does, because it shows you on the screen. It actually shows a picture of the traffic light, and so far I've never noticed it getting it wrong. So it knows the color of the light. My guess is it doesn't want to take a chance of running a red light by running a green light. So it's probably being very conservative right now. Look, as you know, what I've done is I've paid more than $60,000 for the privilege of being part of his beta test team.
Yeah, beta subject.
And that's exactly what I'm doing.
That's Lisa always.
But now,
my Tesla a beta? She says a beta vehicle.
Absolutely.
But how many years have you had this car, and you were able to put this new chip in it to upgrade it? How many years have you had it?
I got it the end of 2018, so a little more than a year, and I got the chip, I guess, in March, right before the lockdown. I was like the last guy to get his chip installed before the lockdown. And I've only driven probably 30 miles since I've gotten it in, because I'm not going anywhere.
Would you, every time I used autopilot, and I didn't have that, but I had, the basic autopilot, I would pretty much be constantly very vigilant, because even... if you disengage it, you got to know what's going on. So you got to kind of pay attention. And we've heard plenty of stories of cars plowing into guardrails and doing dumb things. Now it's even more dangerous because it's city street driving.
I actually think I'm as vigilant as when I drive a regular car.
You have to be.
You really do, because, at the end of the day, it's good about 99% of the time. But there are several cases where I would have had an accident had I not.
1% will kill you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's kind of like COVID, right?
No joke.
It doesn't have to be a big percentage to be scary.
I want to report that I have a 2005 Subaru Outback that has not moved in months and is covered in guano. So
how's the autopilot?
It has no technology at all. It doesn't need any.
But it does know when to stop at stop signs.
It occupies a parking space I pay for in New York, and that's what.
And but the thing about your car is that the wheel was invented in America, so you do have American technology, according to the president.
Wait a minute. The wheel was invented in America?
Didn't Trump once say that an American invented the wheel? I could have sworn he said that.
I completely it's completely believable, but
it's a credible statement.
and as one congressman said, if English was good enough for Jesus Christ, it ought to be good enough for people visiting this.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like George Bush saying the French don't have a word for entrepreneur.
Oh my God.
Okay.
This could be an entire show. Silly things that presidents have said.
Politicians' malapropisms. All right, so there we go. That's our Elon Musk segment for the day. I think we got it all done. The thing I do like about Elon is he doesn't make any bones about, look, I want to get the factory started up, so screw COVID. But then there's people like Jeff Bezos running Amazon, who seems to care about his workers. And yet, I don't know. Are you guys, let me ask you all, are you, so let's ask Rich, are you shopping at Amazon these days?
I am actually. So it's funny because, with Amazon, it's like the complete failure of the system when this whole COVID thing first started. You couldn't get anything. You look on the ordering and it'd be 4 weeks out. So everyone kind of started looking for other places. I did the whole Best Buy thing where I picked up something at the store, the drive-through thing. But Amazon, I mean, it does raise the question of, is Amazon an essential business, which a lot of people order stuff there. But why are they any different than what Elon wants to do at his factory? I mean, it's not like he is going to run a factory and put people at risk. It's a tough thing. I'm not saying I have the answer to it, but I would think that if anyone, Elon's a very smart guy. And so is Jeff Bezos.
Bezos, yeah.
And so is Bezos. I mean, I'm just saying it's like they both have the same goal.
But they're also advanced capitalists.
Well, agreed.
How is Amazon any less essential than Walmart, which is open?
And that's the other thing. So it seems to me it's even more dangerous for me as a regular person to go into any store that I can around a 20-block radius of my house. The Walmarts of the world, the Targets, the Best, not Best Buy, but the Ralphs,
Costco.
So I mean, there's no control there versus a factory where they're going to take your temperature, they're going to make sure that you're not sick, they're going to have rapid testing. So,
and your risk ordering from Amazon is very close to zero as long as the package isn't infected, which is
I'm not considering my risk. I'm just considering should we. But you're right. Anything else we choose to use instead of Amazon is going to have exactly those same risks.
I'm a little thoughtful as to what I order. I try not to order things that I don't need. I mean, which would make sense in general anyway. But I'm a little less of a shopper than I normally am. But I've bought many essentials on Amazon, including some sweatpants, which is essentially all I wear these days. But I try to keep.
There should be a government program to drop off sweatpants at every home. 5 or 6. That way we'd all have plenty of sweatpants. There'd be no crisis.
It just comes with the check.
Yeah.
The stimulus check.
Stimulus check and sweatpants. Here are your sweatpants. The reason I bring this up, Tim Bray was a guy I've known for a long time. I'd forgotten he went to Amazon, but he's pretty much worked in technology everywhere. Recently resigned about a week ago as VP and Distinguished Engineer at Amazon Web Services. He'd been working there for 5 years. He says in his blog post by Amazon, "I quit in dismay at Amazon firing whistleblowers who are making noise about warehouse employees frightened of COVID. What with big tech salaries and share vestings, this will cost me over $1 million pre-tax dollars, not to mention the best job I've ever had, working with awfully good people, so I'm pretty blue." He felt like he couldn't keep working at Amazon after Amazon fired people who tried to organize, smeared people who tried to organize. He said, I just don't think that's right, and I don't want to be working in a company that does it. I feel guilty because, yes, I shop at Amazon too. Rich, you've given me a wonderful justification. Oh, they're all screwed up, so just go anywhere you want.
Well, I mean, and a lot of people make their livelihood working at Amazon.
That's right.
150,000. We're just ordering.
They added 150,000 jobs.
Right. And I agree. It goes kind of back to what you said at the beginning. Like some people, I mean, this has been devastating to so many people, but I mean, a lot of people, if they do want to get out there and work, Amazon has given them that option. There's a lot of these warehouses and stuff. And I'm sure there's some people there that don't want to be working, but they sort of have to be or need to be. But it's just it's a tough situation. To me, I don't see it as any different than, you're running these factories, you're running a warehouse, you're running a supermarket. There is no safe place. There's nothing that's any safer than anywhere else right now except in your home.
Right.
I guess the question is what is essential and what isn't. I think we'd all agree that food is ice cream essential. If I have Safeway deliver ice cream, is that an essential item that I'm entitled to have a worker take a risk in putting it in a package for me? Or is only vegetables essential?
Well, what if I order carrots?
Pizza delivery.
What if I order carrots with my ice cream? Well, you know what? I order pizza because I figure I'm keeping that pizzeria alive. I'm keeping the people who work there alive. The delivery person, yes, he's risking his life. Perhaps. I mean, I don't know how risky it is to drive a delivery car, but especially with fewer
But what
people
if
on the
that
freeway.
delivery guy has COVID and he's ringing 50 doorbells a night and dropping off the pizza? I mean, it never ends. This
why I
whole
put the pizza-
conversation.
There is no perfect safety.
Yeah.
No.
So we all have to make that decision. And the problem is we're going to involve other people in that decision, right? Because if I order pizza, then not only am I potentially risking myself, I feel like that's a relatively safe thing to do, but maybe I'm risking the people making the pizza, the people delivering the pizza. We all have to make that decision. There is no perfect decision, though.
But we have to eat. You have to eat. And, although my wife is growing a vegetable garden and she's increased, and I've always kind of been a little ho-ha about her vegetables. I've actually really been encouraging her because we know those are safe. But the bottom line is that you've got to eat, whether it's pizza or whatever you order from the supermarket. And people are making a living, but I do agree that they should have the utmost support from their employers. And I don't mind paying more money during this period. And in fact, we do. Typically, if you get things delivered, you're paying a premium. But I want them to have PPE and and at least 6 to 8 feet apart from fellow workers, and all the normal things that they need to be safe.
Are you going to give up pork?
Oh, because of what's going on? I'm Jewish. I'm not
You're safe. But we're learning that our meat factories are very dangerous places to be. The problem is in the modern world, we are so interdependent, and we very rarely know the process. Somebody in the chat room says, there's 100, if you buy a pencil, there's 100 technologies involved in the manufacture and delivery of that pencil. And we don't know. We're all dependent on one another and in ways that we don't even see. It's very difficult.
But it also makes you wonder what thing. Yeah, it makes you wonder what's happening outside of COVID with these meatpacking plants. I mean, it's like these may not be very sanitary places anyway.
Good point.
I mean, it makes you just wonder about the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to bring everybody down. It's an interesting.
Happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Happy Mother's Day. Don't give your mother pork. That's my solution.
Let's not even get into flowers. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. No cut flowers. All right, let's take a break. We need a reset after all that. Doc Searles is here. Happy to say the new host on Floss Weekly, Searles.com. It's great to see you and your quadraphonic Akai tape recorder. You don't use that, do you?
I have a couple times. It's too hard to hook up. I need to hook it up to an old computer that will take in audio through an analog jack, and not many of them do that anymore. So I don't need to. There's probably some other hacks.
Who has quadraphonic tapes?
You can
quad on top of that. I mean, I never recorded anything in quad, but all my old reel-to-reel tapes are mono actually. So they're that old.
You can get a USB adapter. I have a sound blaster I've been using for years. Yeah. Take in audio.
I think I have one that I bought at Amazon a while ago.
This mic is actually hooked up to an analog board. It's hooked up to an old, I don't know what kind of analog board, and then that's hooked up to a USB adapter because I actually get better sound than when I have from a digital board for some reason. I don't know why, but still, I think it sounds better.
I've had that happen. I had a Behringer board. It's not here.
It's a Behringer. That's right, Behringer.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
Aren't you glad you're young, Rich? No old technology. This is you, Rich. You're seeing yourself in about 20 years. Just get ready. This is your life coming up, coming strong. Our show today brought to you by Expressvpn. One thing I know, if you're working at home, you need to protect yourself, protect your security, protect your privacy, and do it with the software I use. I looked into this. There's a lot of VPNs out there. But one thing we know about inexpensive or free VPNs is the only way they monetize is by using you as the product. That's not what you got a VPN for. You got a VPN so you wouldn't have to worry about snoops. And when you're home without your IT department overlooking you and taking care of you, you got to protect yourself against online threats. You got to protect your privacy. I think ExpressVPN is a great choice for a couple of reasons. First of all, I love ExpressVPN because they're fast. I think you all know a VPN protects you by encrypting the content, by emerging into the public internet via a VPN server somewhere out there. And I think a lot of us think, and I did for a long time, I can't use a VPN because it's going to slow me down too much. First of all, they're in almost 100 countries. There's a server near you. and that server is fast enough to deliver HD content without buffering. It's several times that I've accidentally left the VPN on and not even noticed. It's that fast. So you won't pay a penalty using ExpressVPN. Your data will be encrypted. You won't have to worry about people seeing what you're doing, whether it's, a bad guy or your internet service provider snooping on your traffic. Because I'll tell you, even in incognito mode, your ISP sees everywhere you go on the internet unless you're using ExpressVPN. Now, it's very important that you use a VPN provider that also respects your privacy. That's ExpressVPN. And it's not just me who says that. They have been audited by third parties, independent third parties. They have a server technology. They went the extra mile. They created something called Trusted Server. When you use ExpressVPN, you click that single button on your phone or your laptop that connects you to the VPN. It spins up something called a Trusted Server that runs only in RAM. You're going through that. That Trusted Server is sandboxed. It can't write to the hard drive. It cannot write to the hard drive. And the minute you log off, that server disappears. Every bit, every trace, everything you did disappears as well. There is no record of your visit. That's pretty amazing. That's the Trusted Server technology. And as I said, it's been audited. ExpressVPN does no logging. They know nothing about you, and that's what you want. You want your privacy. You want your security. There's some nice features, too. You can emerge in any one of 94 countries. That means you can watch Netflix in those countries. If you're in the mood for some Doctor Who, you've watched all the Netflix at home, just fire up Netflix, press the button on ExpressVPN to go to London. Now, suddenly you could see all those Doctor Who episodes as part of your Netflix subscription. That's pretty nice, too. And with HD speed, no buffering. It comes in. It's just like you're there. So my only question is, why aren't you using ExpressVPN? At home, on the road, at work, it's the best way to secure your connection. Right now, you get an extra 3 months free of ExpressVPN in a one-year package when you go to expressvpn.com/twit. We thank ExpressVPN for their support, and we thank you for supporting us by using that address, expressvpn.com/twit. Rich DeMuro, Doc Searles, the great Larry Maggots. Great to have you, as always. Great to have you all on the show. Let's see. Here's an interesting, surprising story. Remember, there was a bit of a controversy. I don't know if you've been following this. In Toronto, there's a part of the Toronto lakeside that is not developed. It's just basically a warehouse district. And the city was partnering with Sidewalk Labs, which is an Alphabet company, one of the Google properties, to create a smart city. They were going to build a whole new development there. The data was going to be collected about traffic, about people moving around. It was going to be a high-tech city within a city. They got a lot of NIMBY criticism. And now, as of this week, they're walking away from it. It was going to be $1 billion project. It had been underdeveloped for over 2 years. Local residents didn't like the idea. And so they tweeted Sidewalk Toronto with great sadness and disappointment. This was 2 days ago. We announced Sidewalk Labs will no longer pursue the Quayside project in Toronto. This has always been my fear, is that people who are strong privacy advocates might also impact the rest of us who say, I don't care. I want a safe, secure, data-driven city. And yeah, but if nobody else, people don't like it, well, we're not going to do it. Is this a loss to Toronto, or is this a good thing? Larry?
Without taking sides,
I think it's a good thing.
Okay, I'll get Larry first, then you, Doc.
No, it just reminds me of the whole Amazon thing in New York, right? I mean, there were people who were dead set against Amazon coming in, but there were a lot of people who were very upset that Amazon didn't come in with all the jobs. So, you're going to have both people on both sides of any of these issues.
Doc, you said it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing for a reason quite aside from the privacy risk one, which is the one that most people bring up, or just becoming too dependent on a single company. It's that Google's history here is not great. What they did with Google Fiber is kind of, it's still operating in Kansas City and a couple other places, but they came in with great promise, and it didn't work out the way they wanted to. And go look them up online. Google Graveyard. There's a zillion things that they have stopped.
Yeah. Add this
they
one to the
graveyard. They do not have a great record here.
Yeah.
I think that I think when stuff is close to home for them, or if they're buying an already successful operation like they did famously with YouTube or something like that, they're fine. But in trying to get a new thing like that going, I think it's it's way too abstract in the way they approach it. You know, I mean, with Google Fiber, for example, I have a friend who's in the fiber business, and he said, you know, what do you need if you're going to do fiber? You know, he said you need two things: you need customer support and you need a crew. And Google like jobbed it out. I don't know to who to
yes,
defense contractors and stuff. I mean, so you know, and then it failed more or less. And you know, so I feel better for Toronto.
Let's look at who Google was up against with the fiber, and you're talking AT&T, Comcast, all these companies that owned the right-of-ways, and what Google did. And I agree with you, Doc. I totally agree that Google, their track record of starting a project and just giving up on it is unsurpassed. Nobody else is like that except them. But with fiber, I think I don't know if fiber is the best example because you're up against the biggest telecoms in the world, and Google has always tried to. You know, with unlocked phones, remember when the Pixel was unlocked? They tried to do it, or sorry, before the Pixel, the Nexus, they tried to do unlocked phones and nobody would sell them. Then they had to go to AT&T to be the carrier. And it's little things like that. Now they have to do Verizon with the Pixel. So I don't know if fiber is the best example with this because I remember doing a story where we flew to Austin, Texas, and AT&T wanted to install fiber, and it's a whole big thing. These companies, they fight tooth and nail to basically make it impossible for you to lay any sort of new lines. And that's why you look at all these companies have given up. You go to a house, you have exactly one choice for your high-speed internet that's wired, and now all these new companies are looking towards wireless. But anyway, as a observer, I totally want the smart city because you don't have to live there if you're worried about privacy. It's the same thing as going into a mall, except it's more of a public area. I mean, the mall, you go in, they're tracking you on Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff. And this would have been really cool. It's like a Disneyland, but in real life. And I think it would have attracted tourism. I think it would have been a fun place to check out to see how a city that's totally planned operates. And yeah, Google could have given up on it, but I don't know if that's the reason why it's a bad idea.
The Sidewalk Labs, hold on a second,
reason.
let me just describe this because you can see if this is something you'd like. Sidewalks Labs' plan was to spend $1.3 billion on mass timber housing, have been made of wood, heated and illuminated sidewalks, public Wi-Fi, and, of course, a host of cameras and other sensors to monitor traffic and street life. In theory, the monitoring would be to improve the quality of life in sidewalk. You make a great point, though, Doc. It would be really sad if they built this and then after a couple of years go,
and then who's going to run it? Right. So another reason is, okay, let's say you're a city. Do you need to hire a giant company who's actually not in that business to make your city, make a big part of your city?
Well, this is what.
Or would you want to bring in a whole lot of new companies, a lot of new startups, a lot of
Sidewalk was a startup within Alphabet.
Companies.
Sidewalk was a startup within Alphabet to design smart cities, so it wasn't out of their ballpark. It's not Google's business. It was an Alphabet business, but it was, I mean, this was what they were designed to do.
So, Rich, you're going to have to move to Japan, to Toyota City, because they, I think, are still going ahead and building their smart city right near Mount Fuji. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, when I go to these shows in Asia back in the day, like I said, when we travel, you always see like this idea of the smart city. And, you know, it reminds me of that. Do you guys remember that project in Florida? It was like Celebration or something.
Yeah,
that planned,
Disney City, the planned Disney City.
Which they abandoned, by the way. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, you know, it'd be kind of fun to see someone plan something that in America or, you know, in this case, Canada, just to see. I mean, why not think outside the box? You look at these big cities in America and, you know, they're not the best quality of life for people. And it would be interesting to see how technology could make life better. Maybe the roads adjust when, you know, traffic is high or low or whatever. I mean, I think it's kind of cool.
I have to admit, I'd almost rather have Google do it than Disney. Disney scares me a little bit.
Everything would be Disney, you know. You'd have to have like the Mickey Mouse ears on everything. Yeah.
There'd be speakers in the ground playing "It's a Small World" till you went crazy. It's an maybe because we're technologists or I'm a technologist. I like the idea that technologists and technology in general could bring to a city, if you started from scratch and planned it, could rationalize it and make a city work better for its residents. So I feel like it's a shame that we didn't at least get an opportunity to try that. Maybe Toyota City will be a better
You know,
example.
the best cities in the world are the oldest cities. I mean, Paris is a wonderful city. London is a wonderful city. New York is a wonderful city. And somehow they managed to evolve in ways from, you know, literally horse and buggy days, if not earlier, to a modern city. And they're far from perfect.
Try to find your way around Boston. Right?
You're not find affordable housing in Boston or, you know, San Francisco
But I
or
think
New
you're
York.
right. Maybe after 1,000 years, a city, the rough edges get worn off, and there's enough culture and time gone by that, I mean, I'll agree with you. Paris is one of the best cities in the world. But so maybe that's the other way to do it, is let them evolve over time. I just wonder if you could plan something and make it extra special.
To some degree, Paris is planned. And to some degree, it grew out of a fire. You know, that's
true. Yes.
Jeffrey West has some brilliant stuff on this about how cities. He had a great TED talk on this and why companies die and cities live, and companies tend to be closed systems and cities tend to be open systems. And the bigger they get, the more diverse they get. I mean, look at Los Angeles. I mean, it's possibly the most diverse city in the world. Has the largest expatriate population for like 44 countries. And that's part of the charm of it. But then again, it was stupid to kill off the trolleys, which they did, you know, a long time ago, and then made a movie about it. You know, so
no, you're right. Paris was. I forgot that in the Empire.
Baron Haussmann.
Baron
Haussmann.
Completely.
But you know, the other thing is that Paris is owned by Parisians. It's not owned by a single company, and it does scare me a little bit if you think about a company town. And I don't know what plans were in place in Toronto to prevent this from literally becoming a company town. But that would frighten me, that one company had an enormous amount of influence.
Right.
Was this all of Toronto, or is this just a little tiny portion of Toronto on the waterfront?
And it was a wasted area. Right now, it's just a warehouse district. It's not.
It's kind of like reminds me of in Santa Monica. They've got this 3rd Street Promenade that
it's great.
Is now kind of now it's kind of dying off down. Because malls and stuff. But the reality is, like, it was an area that they kind of revitalized and made it into this cool, hip kind of place where people congregated. And we've seen that before with malls historically. Now the outdoor malls are kind of taking, if you look at Los Angeles, like the most popular outdoor malls are the Grove and the Americana, and every other city in America now is trying to replicate those sort of outdoor malls, which maybe that plan is not so good at this point.
Indoor malls are dying. In fact, this is going to be the death knell of indoor malls completely.
Absolutely.
Probably.
What makes an outdoor mall better?
Fresh air.
It's just it kind of blends in the world
it's more
around
of a neighborhood. You.
Yeah, and
like Santana Row would be an example in San Jose.
Yes.
Yeah, I would bet the Quayside.
Shopping area.
Whatever the name of that area was, Quayside. That reminds me of Abbot Kinney in Venice Beach, which is a kind of a slum almost, and it had been completely abandoned, is now extraordinarily expensive and vital. At the same time, here in Santa Barbara, the main street got too expensive, called State Street, and an area that was very much like Abbot Kinney was kind of, and like Quayside, it was industrial. It was a lot of big old factory kind of places. That's now called the funk zone, and it is by far the hottest part of town, and it's thriving while the rest of the town is hurting. It happened naturally because that stuff was cheap.
This is this is the area. Here is sidewalktoronto.ca. I mean, it's not a big area, and I think a lot of the local objections were just, we don't want Google spying, but this wasn't people who were going to live there. It was just. It was, we don't like Google. And I feel like that's a shame. There's an opportunity lost.
Google spy, whether you live in their house in their town
They're
or not.
spying. They don't need to build this to spy on you.
You've got their phone in your pocket. You've got their search engine on your computer, but I don't want them in my city. I don't want them anywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad.
And now they want to plant their little earbud in my brain, right? If I stick this in.
Right. Have you used those?
Google literally in my head now. Yeah, I have. Yeah, they're good.
He's got the new Pixel
Except I'm going to
Buds.
lose them at some point.
Well,
what happened to my video? It just went.
Yeah, everybody's videos just suddenly went downhill. I don't know. Maybe it was us.
Yeah, I
think that was just me.
And then, unless we're under alien attack, could be the whole world. I don't know. With something like this quarantine, you get this kind of strange mental state where it's like, are we living in an alternate timeline? Is there something I don't know going on?
It is weird. And there's nothing profound about what I'm about to say, but it is weird to think that we are literally living under essentially the same conditions as the entire world. I mean, those of us who are more affluent are living under better conditions, but the entire world is under quarantine.
Isn't that
I mean, have we
bizarre?
ever had a global?
Yeah.
We've had world wars, but they weren't literally world wars. They were, multiple countries. But
I
this is
feel like
weird.
there's an opportunity here for us to recognize national boundaries make no difference to a virus, right?
That's right.
And maybe this is an opportunity for the world to understand we're all in this together on this little blue marble. Maybe we ought to take better care of each other and stop fighting amongst each other. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy.
And I wonder whether this is going to give us any more thought about global warming, because this ain't nothing compared to what global warming is going to do.
Yeah.
It's going to affect every species on the planet.
Speaking of Google, Google has lost a battle in Australia that's potentially going to be costly. I just don't know if it's costly for Google or costly for Australia. Australia courts have ruled that Google, and Facebook too for that matter, should be paying publishers millions of dollars annually for publishing tidbits, snippets, they call them, from the publisher's content on Google News and in Google search results. Google Australia responded by saying, this is like charging the news agent because they put your newspaper up in the window to sell more copies for the content. The risk ultimately is not to Google. The risk is probably to Australia. In the past, when this has happened in Spain and I think in France, Google just said, fine. We don't have to show you we don't have to give people search results leading to your publication. We can not do that. Negotiations over Google sent more than 2 billion visitors to Australian news sites from Australian users and a further billion visits from users outside of Australia in 2018. Google said that was a two-way value exchange. We got value, but you got value too. Negotiations for some sort of voluntary agreement had stalled, and it looks like the government has said Google's going to have to start paying. Google, I suspect, if forced to pay, if they can't get a way out of this, will just walk as they have. And the upshot is it'll hurt publishers. How do people find you if they can't Google you? Is that too much power for Google?
I don't understand it. All I know is that as somebody who wants people to come to my website, and I think most web owners want people to come. And if you want to put up a paywall, put up a paywall. And some people are going to pay and some people are going to go away. Right. But I've never understood. Murdoch has been pushing this for years. And I've never quite understand the economics about why you would want to not be picked up by Google. I mean, people spend millions on SEO for the purpose of getting picked up on Google.
And Larry, would you mind if they had a little snippet from connectsafely.org on the search result to tell people what they're going to find there?
No, not at all. In fact, I would expect that as I would expect that, as you mentioned, the news agent putting up the sample newspaper. Right. You need to look at the headline and maybe the first paragraph to decide if you want to read it. Right. And buy it.
But on the flip side, just playing devil's advocate here, on the flip side, as we move more to voice, and if you look at what Google has done, I mean, I agree. I think that, if it's like me posting a video from CES on Instagram and all of a sudden it's regrammed by, a dozen of these random technology Instagrams. And of course, I'm like, it kind of sucks. What does that do for me? It does give you a little exposure. Does every one of those people end up following you? Probably not. So you see the good and the bad. But, as we move towards voice, a lot of these results with Google are sort of given in a verbal way. So it's like, according to Connect Safely, here's what you do to be safe on the internet, and it'll tell you. Right. I don't know. Did that do anything for you? I don't know.
Probably did more good than harm, is my sense. I mean, I suppose if I was charging access to my site and people weren't paying because they could get it free, sure. But I don't think there are that many. Look, I happen to have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, but I'm constantly seeing snippets of stuff from there and often going ahead and reading the entire article, and sometimes not. But would I cancel my subscription to the Wall Street Journal because I don't need it? I mean, for example, I don't have an LA Times subscription. I'm thinking about getting one because Google has been showing me lately that they're doing a lot of great coverage, and I'm probably going to go ahead and subscribe.
And see, that's interesting because on the flip side, two things. I see the LA Times articles as well. They're always coming through to my Google News, and I click on them. And now I've been trained to know that, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to read that because I don't have a subscription to that. And so and in Google News, I'll be even more devil's advocate. You can actually block access to a provider. So if the LA Times serves you up 3 articles that you can't read, now you're finally like, all right, let me just block LA Times. And here's the other side of things. A blog in almost every circumstance reblogs what someone has reported. And so that's almost, I think, the bigger issue, more so than Google, because I think Google probably does a better idea with their algorithms of sending you to the original article, right? Like the source.
Yeah, that's the goal.
And then
that's effective. If I'm looking for something, that's what happens. I Google it, I see the clip, and then I click the link and I go to the site.
Right. You want the original report. That's what I think
you're absolutely
a lot of savvy people.
Right. I mean, honestly,
even very legitimate news sources like CNET, or,
I shouldn't say this.
We'll blog about what the Wall Street Journal covered.
But this entire show, everything we do on Twitter is made up of us talking about other people's news stories. So, I mean, honestly, we're completely free riding on all the good work that people like Larry and Rich do. We provide commentary.
But I do that as a broadcaster. My radio shows are almost exclusively based on what I read in the news. And I do give credit if they have anything to explain.
Right. Oh, I always give credit. I try to mention where I saw the author.
Absolutely.
But it's not like I'm driving traffic to the Wall Street Journal about that Elon Musk article. I'm just giving them credit.
But are you not, though? I think you are, because I saw someone tweeted about that article earlier. And, they tweeted about it and they kind of summarized it a little bit. And then I went and read it. Yeah. And so, I mean, I think it all comes back to that whole, like, it's better to be there than to not be there. And I think that just makes more sense. Now, if someone's just stealing your stuff, if it's a clone of the Wall Street Journal and you're just going there every day and reading the whole thing without a subscription, that's a little bit different. Yeah. That's not in the same spirit of what Google's trying to do, right? According to what I think.
Right. Let's take a break. Rich DeMuro, my doppelganger. See how much we look alike. We could be. Hey, who's doing your hair though, Rich? I got to tell you, you look like you've had a haircut.
No, I have not had a haircut in 8 weeks.
It looks
it's
a
the longest
little like Max Headroom, though. I think.
Oh, maybe it's a little.
I'm trying to go as high as possible. I keep going higher. I love it. I'm just going higher and higher every day.
Maybe that's what I should do. Just go.
Yeah, go high.
That's it. You need a mohawk. You need a mohawk.
The Einstein look.
I got the Einstein going. It's really out of control.
My wife just looked. My wife
kind of a Garrison
went to
Keillor
YouTube to learn how to give haircuts.
Yeah, I saw that, and she learned, and you let her.
She did not. I was looking horrible. My hair was just I look like Einstein without the brains.
I'm in that awkward stage between a tidy haircut and a man bun. But in you
got to do the man bun.
Yeah, in a couple of months.
Go for the whole man bun.
In a couple of months, at least I'll have a ponytail. See, that would clean it up. Maybe that's what I need to do.
Just do a little pony in the back.
I think my upload speed must have suddenly dropped because my video looks horrible.
Your quality's terrible. Let's call him back. Larry, if you've got Chrome in the background, turn off Dropbox syncing. Email. Maybe your wife is watching more of those how to cut hair YouTube videos.
She might be watching Netflix. I don't know. No, it's weird because I have a pretty fast connection, but for some reason upload
completely
seems to be
degraded. It's completely degraded.
Horrible.
That's all right. You got a moment. We'll call you right back while I talk about our sponsors, Worldwide Technology. I have a soft spot for Worldwide Technology because it's the last trip I ever took. In March, seems like 100 years ago, we flew out to Worldwide Technology's world headquarters in St. Louis to visit their Advanced Technology Center. And I thought, this is heaven. This is a paradise. The Advanced Technology Center, they started building it about a decade ago, and it has grown like crazy. It's a testing lab. It's a research lab. It's where WWT's engineers create pilots, proofs of concept. They set up technologies before they show them to clients. They let clients come in and try technologies. More than $500 million of equipment at the Advanced Technology Center from hundreds of OEMs and key partners. I mean, everybody's in there, high-tech heavyweights like Cisco, like VMware, AI disruptors like NVIDIA. The point is that WWT is a trusted partner who stays with you over the years. Many of their customers have been with them for decades. They know WWT is where they can go to get the answers they need. And a lot of this really has to do with the Advanced Technology Center. It's an incubator for IT innovation. On-demand and schedulable labs or workshops like NVIDIA's Deep Learning Workshop, along with hundreds of other labs representing the newest advances in architectural solutions to help you as a customer accelerate in areas like AI and machine learning and more. Learn about products before you launch them. WWT's engineers are always in there working on stuff, inventing stuff, trying stuff so that their customers can confidently choose the best solutions. It really makes a difference. It reduces the time from concept to deployment from months to weeks. And in this fast-paced world of enterprise technology, time is money. They also offer something completely unique, and I really was impressed by this. That ATC isn't just theirs, it's yours too. They offer it as a service. They call it Lab as a Service, a dedicated lab space within the ATC where you can perform programmatic testing using the vast technology ecosystem WWT's already built. You don't have to go to St. Louis to use the ATC. It's virtual. You can take advantage of the ATC's benefits anywhere in the world 24/7. Beta test new solutions based on the latest and greatest NVIDIA technologies. Build reference architectures and custom integrations to help your customers, their customers, make decisions and see results faster with a lot less investment. It's an amazing thing. If you're interested in AI, if you're interested in machine learning, if you want to try these great NVIDIA technology, this is a way to do it for free, easily, painlessly. This incredible Advanced Technology Center ecosystem creates a multiplier effect of knowledge, of speed, of agility, anytime, anywhere around the world for their customers. And by the way, it's more than just the labs. You get access to case studies, to articles. In fact, there's information right there waiting for you. You can go and read up. All the tools you'll need to make a difference in today's fast-paced world. I think WWT's customers know this, but I want you to know it too. They are amazing. Become a member of the growing WWT community. Get access to the ATC. Go to wwt.com/twit. Create your account and then try out these on-demand labs. Just the information, the value you're going to get. And nowadays, we're all looking about moving to the cloud, about AI, about machine learning. This is the place to do it. WWT simplifies the complex. The website, again, wwt.com/twit. Worldwide technology delivering business and technology outcomes around the world. A great partner. We're really happy to have them as our friends on the journey. How are we doing, Larry?
I don't know. How's my video? Is it any better?
Yeah, it's about the same.
But I don't know what's going on because I'm getting better. I don't know.
So
Weird,
actually, that raises an interesting question. There's been a lot of conversation lately about, the internet service providers really didn't need those bandwidth caps. Comcast and Cox and Frontier all said, if we don't have bandwidth caps, you guys will just kill the network. We're protecting the network against the bandwidth hogs. Of course, during the crisis, they've, for good reason, lifted the bandwidth caps as more and more of us working from home. Have we noticed a degradation? Did they really need those bandwidth caps in the first place? Rich, what do you think?
Oh, yeah. I think that it's probably the top question I'm getting from people is their internet service just seems horrible.
So it is going down.
Now, here's the thing. I think that 99% of internet issues in people's homes have to do with their Wi-Fi, the way it's set up.
Yep. It was Wi-Fi today on the radio show. I had 4 or 5 callers with bad Wi-Fi.
And the number one thing nobody knew, because back in the day, you had one device, you had your laptop and you had your router underneath your TV. Right. And you would use your laptop and you'd use your phone. It was fine. Then all of a sudden people started getting video doorbells. And that's when they realized the Wi-Fi did not reach the other end of their home, even though it wasn't that far away. Right. And now it's this whole big thing with all these smart home devices. So 99% of the time you recommend Eero, Orbi, the Google, and you're fine. You've
been listening to the radio show, Rich.
Of course, every weekend, Leo.
But how about the ISPs? Do you think they're are they suffering? I mean, clearly Larry's ISP is suffering right now, right?
Something's going on.
so.
By the way, I switched to a lower resolution camera, but that's not helping any either. No, apparently my upload speed has gotten bad.
Your audio's fine, so so that's the most important thing from my point of view.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't need to see you.
yeah, I'm not much to look at begin with. No, but there's no question that because I pay for 200 megabits, which is pretty much the most I can pay for unless I want to pay a ridiculous amount. And I typically get 300 megabits, but lately I'm lucky to get 90, which is still plenty. But for some reason, my upload speed is really bad right now. My upload is bad right now for reasons that I don't understand.
That's probably you, not Comcast.
I don't know, because I do regular webcasts, and this is the first time it's happened. Maybe it's you, Leo.
Could be us. Yeah.
It's everyone FaceTiming for Mother's Day. That's what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Could be.
This is probably going to be the worst day of them all, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Twisted
it's
Mystery.
true. I mean, people are on. I mean, it's believe me, my wife told me, she'd say at like 7 o'clock at night, I go to sleep super early for the morning show. And she would say at night, she'd be like, our internet goes out. Like Netflix looks terrible. And every day I'd come home at, 3 o'clock and I'd say, looks fine to me.
It's good,
and
honey.
finally one night I'm up late. And sure enough, I'm like, what is this? This is crazy. What are you?
But now people are online all day. I mean, my neighbors are actually I have a cable modem, which means I'm sharing bandwidth with my neighbors. And they have the audacity to use it.
I call my neighbors natives as well. Yeah,
the native neighbors.
The natives.
They lived here before you.
Yeah,
most of my neighbors
were on your
natives.
street before you moved.
I wonder if it's Skype. I mean, because we're all on Skype here, I know more about Zoom than I do about Skype, but I know that their system is monitoring upstream, and it could be it's locked Larry at a lower.
It usually
speed
adjusts
within Skype.
after a while. It'll adjust.
I have never had a problem like this on Zoom. I mean, I'm on Zoom many times a week.
Oh, God, you guys are killing me with the Zoom. Do you really want me to switch this whole network to Zoom?
No, we're not saying that. I'm just saying that it may be making. It could be Skype is making a judgment on Larry for no reason.
It is a judgment, yes.
I think Zoom is right now finally one of the most secure services in the world. I mean, they have bent over backwards and done somersaults in response to all the problems they had early on during the pandemic, to the point now where they are annoying me by forcing me to use passwords when I don't want to use passwords.
Yes, it's now annoying, because if you were just responsible with your code, you'd be fine. But now
security is annoying. Security is purely annoying. It's by design.
Yeah, security, but Doc, you're right. That it is annoying, but I love to tell people it's like it's supposed to be. Like my kids want me to download something to their iPad. I got to find my password that's like super complex. I got to find theirs. It's supposed to be annoying, because guess what? If it's easy and your password is simple, it's
Anybody
easy.
can do it.
You don't want that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Zoom, because this is, of course, a great success story of quarantine has been Zoom. First of all, why Zoom? There are hundreds of ways to do this. Most people have a variety of things already on their system, including for Apple users, FaceTime, for Facebook users, Facebook or WhatsApp. There's Google Meeting. It goes on and on and on. What was it about Zoom, which I don't think most home users had ever used
or heard of?
Yeah. Why did Zoom go from 10 million daily active users in December to 200 million in March? There was a little question about the number. I think they gave out 700 million or something last month, and then they retracted it. But nevertheless, we're talking significant growth. Why?
They're marginally easier. They were a little bit better. And a little bit got a lot more. And
is it because the only people who had done this?
Google's a verb, and they're a verb now too.
Now you're breaking up.
Okay.
You were breaking up.
This wouldn't happen on Zoom.
And breaking up is hard.
If we were on Zoom, this wouldn't happen.
Oh my God! So
no, I've
got a gig down and 300 whatever up. So,
I think that the probably what happened is everybody at home had never done anything like this. I mean, we'd all done one or two face-to-face calls, but the idea of having 20 people in a meeting hadn't occurred to us. So you have to say, well, what did they use at work? And that's the first thing that happened.
Yeah.
Was Zoom dominant in business before this?
It's an enterprise company, and that was part of their problem, is that they actually had pretty good enterprise security. The problem is that their documentation was written for IT professionals, and most users had no idea how to turn on the security that was there. So now they had to make it a default.
The defaults
which is why
were
the
wrong.
irritates
The
me.
defaults were
Yeah,
bad.
the defaults were wrong for consumers.
Most of the time, I mean,
I
the
think
way
they
the
were fine
company
for
explained
IT.
it, they said that the IT professional, because most of the time it was enterprise. So you would be a big company, you'd sign up, and your IT people would sort of delegate the security settings for your corporate, for your organization.
Right.
And when people started using it at home, if you look at, Zoom settings are insane. They're not for the mere mortal because there are so many of them. None of them make any sense. And the one feature that every average person found was the virtual background, which was like the most fun feature. And it's so stupid.
Right.
But I think the reason why Zoom took off is because the companies latched on board immediately. All those employees came home. They started using it with their friends because it was unlimited and you can have all the fun people on the grid. It was easy to send a link to everyone. I don't know how people got their friends to install this, because if I try to get any one of my friends to install some sort of new video chat app that I'm asking, or because I'm testing it, they're like, no, I'm good. I've got FaceTime. I've got this. It's like,
The reason is
apparently
that it's
everyone
automatic.
in the world installed Zoom overnight.
But it's automatic. When you go to the website and you join it, when you join a chat, it just automatically installs. So it's kind of brainless.
Well, I don't like that
from the
aspect,
standpoint of view.
actually.
Well, you might
I'm not
not,
a fan
but
of that.
it's easy.
It's great. I have to say that here's a big reason that Zoom's a success. The app is uncomplicated. It automatically installs the app, as Larry was saying, and that's annoying that they didn't hardly ask permission to do that. But then again, WebEx and the other ones, they have something like that too. But their app is simple. You look at Skype's app, and it's gigantic, and it wants to be social, and it's got a whole lot of old crap that you don't care about. Zoom's app is nice and simple, and it works. So,
That's an interesting corollary, because it's simple on the surface, so the end user thinks it's simple by doing horrific things behind the scenes.
Yes, and they had to figure out ways around the security of like Apple computers and Mac, Apple and Windows. And the other thing is, if you say no every single time it tries to install that app, it will run in the browser just fine. But they don't want it to run in the browser. They want it to be sticky on your system so that when someone calls you, it immediately pops up. I get why they did what they did, but it was a very dark kind of, what do they call it, like a dark pattern or whatever?
It was a dark pattern,
It was, and I don't like them for that reason, and that's why I've kind of always been like, I'm not like that's what I don't like about Zoom. Even though I will say I've tested all these different apps, and Zoom is the most fun. It has the most features, and it's undeniably easy.
Well, the other thing is, and I've noticed this, you're not making friends if you say, I don't want to use Zoom, I want to use product X, because they then have to install product X. My Mac at home has big blue jeans, blue. It has all of these apps, and I'm thinking, as soon as this is over, I'm wiping the drive, and I'm never installing any of this stuff again. So I've experienced this. We have a Jitsi server running, which requires nothing. It's WebRTC. It's just web-based, but I can't convince anybody, even in my own company, to use it. No, because they already use Zoom.
Not with a name like that.
Jitsi, is that the problem? Yeah. It's the name.
The name. The whole. I went to the Jitsi website because I saw the little silhouette on a broadcast. I was like, "What's that one? I'm not aware of that." And I went to the website, and it was clear to me that this is the reason why only nerds are installing this one. It's because it's a nerd one. I hate to say that, but it's
one.
It sounds like
are
a
you
mold.
accusing Leo of being a nerd?
Jitsi.
It sounds like a mold or a secretion or something like that. It's not good.
Oh God, I never even thought of that.
I thought it was like a martial arts studio.
The other thing about Zoom,
it's a martial art.
I just want to show you. This is Jitsi. I don't even have to tell people it's Jitsi. I can just say, go to twit.team. It's got the Twit logo on it, not the Jitsi logo on it. It looks like Zoom. I can have multiple people in here. There's nothing in here right now because my camera's not turned on. But I feel like that looks pretty.
Show us their website, though. Show us the website that you have to go to download.
No, you don't have to.
That's what
I installed a server. No, you go to twit.team. If you want to try it, go to twit.team. But I can't even convince people to do that because I did all of that. But that doesn't matter. It's right. No, and that's the point. Well, okay. That's my point. There are better ways.
We've got two things coming down the pipeline. I don't know if you guys have tried Google Meet. I finally got access, so I was like, refreshing my Gmail every day.
Hate it.
You hate it?
Well, maybe I'm not using Google Meet, but we use Hangout Meets all the time for work. If we don't use Zoom, internally we use Google, and it's awful.
Well,
You like
I
it?
feel like the Meet. I don't know. I thought Meet was pretty good. My only problem is they give you the grid view, but the trick is that you're tiny. And I think that people like to see themselves on the same grid as everyone else. Why am I so tiny?
No,
and I think that's
right.
going to kill it. Number one.
Yep.
Number two, we've got Facebook Messenger rooms coming up, and I think that I don't know, people love and hate Facebook because of the privacy stuff, but it's going to be unlimited. Don't forget right now, if you're in a group meeting on Zoom and you're not paying, you are hitting that 40-minute limit.
Right.
Whereas on, Facebook Messenger, it's going to be totally free for 100 people or whatever it is.
Here's the thing with Zoom. One person in that group always has a paid account. There's always somebody who has a paid account.
Yes, but I don't want to be on my corporate account for my personal, Friday night poker game.
Right.
I don't know. To me, that doesn't make sense. Everyone's like, oh, I'll host it. I'm a lawyer or I'm an educator. I'm like, you really, you don't know who's tracking this stuff.
If you have just a regular $15 a month paid account, only one person can use the account at the time. So Connect Safely has one. If I want to use it for my Friday night poker game and my colleague wants to use it for hers, one of us is going to get locked out.
I end up buying another Zoom account just so
buying another Zoom. And we actually upgraded to webinar. It's funny, Zoom has an amazing amount of bait and switch. I mean, we're paying something like $80 a month now for our Zoom account.
I want to hate Zoom.
We still can only have 100 people can be in our meetings. I
want to hate Zoom. I really do. And yet that's the default. And again, that was the question I asked. Why is it? Well, Microsoft very early on said, we'll give you Teams. Everybody, Google said, okay, no more limits on meets.
Part of it, I think the name Teams, everything else sounds so enterprise. And even though Zoom is enterprise,
Zoom doesn't sound
enterprise.
at that. Sounds fun.
Zoom is a cool name. It is. It sounds fun.
It's better than Jitsi.
It's better than Jitsi. And Teams, come on, Microsoft Teams, it's number one, they've had Skype forever. And I tell people I do all my interviews for TV over Skype, and people are they're grossed out. They're they don't want to give me their username.
Skype.
They hate it. And I'm like, what's so bad about Skype? And Zoom, it's people, you get a link. If you even mention Zoom to someone, you get a link texted to you before you even finish saying, can we Zoom? I mean, it's I've never seen anything take off like this in the tech world with such a complicated product that's not built into every device. Apple spent years building a FaceTime into everything and people use it. Google can't figure it out for 10 years with Duo and all these things, and Zoom does it overnight.
I feel bad for GoToMeeting because they owned this space for so long. And Cisco Webex, I feel bad for them. They owned this space. They were the corporate choice, and they haven't.
Yep. It's significant that the Zoom guys left.
Did they come from Webex?
GoToMeeting or Webex, one of them. One of them.
Interesting.
They were,
I didn't know that.
Whichever one was owned by Cisco. But they came from there. And they didn't have a covenant not to compete or anything. It's just that they walked and they started another company. So they already had experience with what not to do, I suppose. That has to help. I also want to tell the back channel that I'm making a joke about Jitsi as the floss guy. I like Jitsi.
Jitsi's
cool.
good. But nobody.
Good, but
I can't even get my family to use it.
I would use Skype if Microsoft would make it easier to use. I just find the UI confusing.
Really
although
we force people to use Skype. You're all on Skype. We have to force people to do it, but it's the best quality we've been able to get. So
till today,
right. So the reason Zoom's in the news is because they realized that their reputation was mud, and they did an amazing thing. They turned it around very, very quickly. I'm wondering, though, what the panel thinks, if this is a real turnaround or if this is a PR turnaround. Because in the past, we've seen Zoom do the PR thing without doing the real thing. So they hired a consultant. And we've talked about this before. Alex Stamos, very famously, was at Yahoo and then at Facebook, and he's a well-respected person in security. They hired Katie Mazouris's company that is a bug bounty company to help them track down bugs and pay people for tracking down bugs. And most recently this week, and I was a little miffed, they acquired a company nobody's ever heard of except that I was a big fan of, Keybase at keybase.io. These guys are super good crypto guys. They have about a 25-person team in New York that's really all about crypto, and they brought them in to support the end-to-end encryption on Zoom. It does put Keybase, which I had used for, I think, several years, in jeopardy. They sounds like it's an acquire. They're going to put all their energies into making Zoom secure. These are good hires, but are they what Zoom needs to do? They announced we're not going to add features. In fact, they famously lost out on a Facebook deal. They were working with Facebook on Facebook's messaging platform and had to move off of it because they said we're not going to work on new features. We're going to work on security only. They saw that as the big opportunity. What do you let's see. Let's ask Rich. What do you think, Rich? Is this real security or security theater?
I think so. No, I think it's real security. I think that this company realizes they have exactly one opportunity to become a thing. And right now, we don't know what's going to happen after this whole pandemic passes, if and when it does. Hopefully it does. So I think Zoom knows that. They know that they've caught some fire here, and they are ready to just ride that to the win. And I think they can. I think that they really can. And it's just going to take a matter of like you said, their reputation was mud in the public's eye, and of course the major media. You say Zoom and you think security problems. But I think they can get over it because I think they, like you said, they made a lot of changes in the past couple of weeks that truly do make the service more secure. And Doc, so I think they will get through it.
I'm sure Alex and Katie and their reputation in the security community. But at the same time, Alex is not an employee. Katie's not an employee. It's almost as if they're putting together a team of people who can front for Zoom. Do you think they've done enough?
I just checked on several different browsers, and let's see. Am I right? Okay, they haven't. All right, so I made trouble for them. In fact, I may have started the avalanche.
What happened?
On March 27th. I wrote a blog post.
Oh, that's right. You're the one who wrote the piece.
Yeah, I wrote a blog post called Zoom Needs to Clean Up Its Privacy Act. And then
you were the guy.
3 more after that, including, and then Eric Yuan, the CEO, reached out to me and said, and he seemed very sincere about it. I really want to fix this, and I really want your help and anybody's help. And I want to see here if they actually did the one thing I asked them to do, which is get rid of. Yeah, no, they didn't. Okay, so they still have TrustArc on. So the problem they had, and the problem I'm telling you they still have, is that their privacy policy. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, this got a lot of carriage. This Zoom needs to clean up its privacy.
Yeah, okay. It burned out my or Harvard's server for WordPress for that. Wow. But anyway, their privacy policy, because they have tracking on their homepage, they had weasel language in their privacy policy that said all the stuff you say if you've got weasel language if you've got weaseling on your homepage that allows third-party trackers to come in and keep track of the cookies that you've agreed to, even though the GDPR and the CCPA told you not to. So there's a multi-zillion-dollar business in avoiding the GDPR and avoiding the CCPA.
Yep.
And obeying the letter but not the spirit of that, which is to stop tracking people. So as long as they have tracking of some sort on their homepage, it made it look like they have tracking on everything. And I said, it makes you look like you're an advertising company. And he told me, we're gonna do what you say. We're gonna get rid of that. And I said, you're gonna have a fight with your marketing people. Yeah. He says, I know that, but
and it's not the marketing people; it's the lawyers who said, well,
it's the lawyers and the marketing people.
We can't get rid of that.
Yeah, the lawyers will say that, and I told him your lawyers will say it too. They don't. They're in a seller's market. They do not need. They call their homepage a marketing page. It doesn't need to be. It needs to say, we're Zoom.
Was that before this whole thing, though? Maybe they thought that they had an opportunity there, but or was it just standard that every company that starts a web company just kind of does this stuff, and now they're like, we have something bigger,
Well, you say that.
You're saying they haven't cleaned it up yet.
Let me read the quote, Doc, because you say, here's the thing. Zoom, and you do this in italics, Zoom doesn't need to be in the advertising business. Least of all on the part of it that lives like a vampire off the blood of human data. If Zoom needs more money, charge more or give less away for free. It's an extremely valuable service, performs well. It's a platform with lots of apps, and it should be interested in privacy. But what's interesting is it sounds like they still haven't. You wrote this. What is the date?
March 27th.
So 2 weeks ago, and they still haven't responded.
Yeah, that's about
a
1,000 years.
a month and 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
in COVID time, that's forever.
Yeah, last decade. Yeah, practically.
Yeah. And I'm sure what's happened. I think he was sincere. He strikes me as a good guy. I liked talking to him. He was very modest and quite obviously shellacked by what happened. I mean, he had in the background, his false background, which you have with Zoom, was the San Francisco skyline with all the skyscrapers there. And I said, well, what happened is all those buildings, exactly as Rich said, all those buildings drained out and all those people went on to Zoom. And then, by the way, all of church and all of education and all of government and everything else went on to Zoom, and they absorbed that somehow. And by the way, credit Amazon as well for being a back end for that, which is I'm told they are. So that's one of the reasons why they've succeeded.
It does amaze me that it works. I'm just shocked that it hasn't crashed and burned by now.
It's remarkable. I agree. They have not had a major crash. I mean, that is phenomenal for
no fail
for the
whale,
growth.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, we haven't heard one story of that, and that everyone's waiting for that story, and it hasn't happened, which is just phenomenal. Which gives me faith in this business. I mean, I really, like I said, I don't want to like Zoom because of the way they installed their program on everyone's computer secretly, but I have to give them credit for doing something kind of right and getting us all connected in this time that we've never experienced before. They somehow did it.
So, Doc, is it safe to use Zoom now?
I think it is. We had a Mother's Day family gathering for the first time. We had our first family Zoom.
Can you comment about the China stuff? Because I know every time I mention Zoom, people say everything goes through China. Is that true? Is that not true? Where did that come from?
I have no idea. I don't know what it is, but I have no idea.
It is not true. At one point, some Zoom traffic was routed through China. Zoom says that was an error. It isn't normally. Here's the larger issue to me. Almost all of Zoom's code is written by 3 companies in mainland China. And since their coders are in China, in my opinion, that makes them vulnerable because any company that is in China is partially owned by the Chinese government and is absolutely susceptible to interference by the Chinese government. That's just a nature of doing business there. So honestly, if Zoom really wanted to win my trust, perhaps they would start doing their coding somewhere else. Doesn't have to be the U.S. Do it in Switzerland if you want, but just China or any authoritarian state, Russia would be just as bad. That worries me a little bit. On the other hand, what are you doing on Zoom that you're worried that the Chinese government's going to get?
Government.
Leo, everything is happening on Zoom. I mean, everything. I mean,
the Department of Defense has already said we're not using Zoom. Elon Musk's SpaceX says we're not using Zoom. NASA refuses to use Zoom. The New York City freaking schools stopped using Zoom.
But they started again.
Yeah, I know.
I think they started again.
But the point is,
we're actually.
We got nothing to hide here. So I think if you are the Defense Department, you probably shouldn't be using Zoom. But for you and me on your Mother's Day,
Jitsi. Get them on Jitsi, Leo.
I'm switching from Zoom to TikTok because of the Chinese concern. Wait a minute.
Oh, whoops.
Whoops.
I neglected to mention one other name that they got on. Again, another consultant, Bruce Schneier, is one of the most legendary security guys of all, said, I'm working for Zoom. Now, I presume Katie Mazuris, Bruce Schneier, and Alex Stamos are going to not sit there and watch Zoom do untenable things, but they aren't employees. They're consultants. The true employees are still in China. I don't know.
So Bruce is a friend of mine, and and in fact, he privately encouraged me to give them a lot of grief once they started. And I didn't. He's working for Zoom now. That's going on. No shit.
Yeah. Wow, so that's a big.
Got him his job.
You probably did get him his job. That was
give him some more grief.
Yeah. I thought that was actually when let me see if I can find Zeus Bruce's posting here.
I knew he's working with Tim Berners-Lee on Inrupt.
That one's
really. I didn't know he's working with.
That one's really interesting. Yeah, I hope I'm not mistaken, but I think he said he's going to consult with them. But let me actually.
That's significant. It's significant.
Yeah.
He is brilliant. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not doing this by accident. I want to make sure that I'm not assigning Bruce a job that he did not take. But I read his blog religiously, and I feel like he was talking about that. He does talk in a more recent post about Zoom security and the DoD, and does say that Zoom is on the list of more secure choices. But anyway, I think that, and I think you know this, Rich, that's the concern people express is it safe to use? And I think the answer for normal people for your Mother's Day call is absolutely, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you're, but on the flip side, this is an enterprise company. It's primarily meant for businesses, so it should be safe with business transactions and conversations. So I would hope, and I think they also got in trouble because that whole like encrypted end to end, were they really end to end encrypted? Turned out they weren't, and so I think that there's just Zoom is it's like what's that clay that the kids make, the slime? It's like they're like slime. They're like it's cool and it's fun to play with, but it just keeps dripping out of your hands. And you got to bring it back up.
So there's a
pull quote there.
Yeah, there's the pull quote.
They're like slime. Just pull that one out, and there you go.
I don't think anyone has ever used that to describe a tech company before, but that's, my last thing before I got quarantined was the New York Toy Fair, and that's what I was playing with, was that slime, and it just reminds me of Zoom now.
Yeesh. Yeesh. That's Rich DeMuro, Rich on Tech, richontech.com. Is it .com?
.tv.
.tv, that's right. Because you're a TV person now.
The TV guy, he looks good too.
Yeah, it does. Look at his hair. Even without a haircut, his hair looks good. I hate you. I think your Flowbee sales must be through the roof right about now. I don't know. I don't
love a Flowbee.
Oh, anything, man. I'm actually there's a hair cutter, a barber in Pennsylvania. Paul Thorat's used him, who brings a standing tent with armholes in it. He stands in the tent. He puts his arms in the hole, cuts your hair.
It's like surgery.
It's like surgery.
I feel like the spirit of right now is no haircut. Like this is the one time in your life when you can go and no one has a haircut. So why not just let it grow?
I grew up in the 60s, so I already had that. Yeah. But I'm wondering, how do you do a massage in Georgia and stay 6 feet away?
There's no way.
I'm trying to figure that one out. Very long arms.
First person you fire is your massage therapist. I don't know.
You know what the difference between a good and a bad haircut?
What's that?
About 2 weeks.
That's true. My last haircut, I knew this was going to be my last haircut for a while. I told my hair cutter, I said, I think it's going to be getting pretty long. Can you cut it so that it'll wear well? She says, I always cut it so it will wear well. But I don't know if she planned on this. This is. I got those wings that come up in the back. You know.
Yeah. I don't even bother worrying about the back because you can't see it.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I need that.
I have the clippers. I mow my hair. I don't cut it. I just mow it over with a mower. Set it on number 2.
I tried to buy clippers, but they're also sold out. You can't buy them.
Oh, really?
You can buy beard clippers, but you can't buy hair clippers.
They sold out early. Yeah.
Really?
This is what I'm saying with Amazon. It's like a fail. Like in normal times, anything you need is on your doorstep in 2 days, and this is just not the case. I mean, it's just not the case right now.
You want to take money on whether Jeff Bezos is keeping very close scrutiny on everything that's in shortage and high demand, and he's going to stockpile up because the next time he's going to be ready.
Webcams are also, you can't buy a webcam online right now.
People are scalping C920s.
Luckily, I have
for hundreds of dollars.
Crap. Yeah. I found one in my drawer. By the way, it looks like my video is back up now.
It is. And you look crystal clear.
It looks great.
Whatever was going on, your wife stopped watching those videos.
Stop the videos.
We can read your wall. We can read your book titles.
Oh, man, the detail is incredible.
I wonder about that, too. Luckily, I don't think I've got my books that I would be embarrassed by back there. So.
I make a kind of a hobby of reading people's bookshelves in the back wall. I think you can tell a lot about a person by the bookshelves books you can see in the back.
What does it mean when you have no books like me?
Well, they're probably Kindle.
You have a clean mind, Rich. Clean mind.
I did. I got rid of all my books a couple of years ago, and I went to just Kindle. Wow. It was like so sad to throw everything away.
Terrible.
I love
that means I could walk into your house and not have any idea what your politics and cultural interests are. Where I walk into Leo's house, I could probably figure out everything.
Totally.
Larry, that's been my entire life of being on TV, is making sure that nobody knows what politics or interests.
You know what they call that? The Vanna White effect. People ascribe their political views to Vanna White because she never says anything.
You mean Vanna White is a lefty?
She is.
I had no idea.
All right, we're going to take a little break. It's time for videos. We had a fun week on Twit, and we've made a little entertaining video for you celebrating some of the things that happened. Watch.
Previously on Twit.
Dumb Denny said, if this is an Apple computer, how come it doesn't have blank? Lori said,
a stem.
Ian said,
oh dear, I feel slightly
Apple
ashamed, but
oh no,
you're not
A
wrong.
single mouse button.
Hands-on wellness.
These little things here have so many germs all over them. I have two options today that may help you out with cleanliness of your mobile devices.
This Week in Google.
How did you get those Pixel Buds so fast?
feel good. They fit well. They sound good. Go outside, start walking. For some strange reason, the sound will cut out.
126 people on Reddit complaining of the same problem.
This Week in Enterprise Tech.
This problem exists when anytime you recycle your hardware. You don't clear it off before selling it. You're going to actually leak some data eventually. The researcher went and acquired 13 Tesla media control units. Each one of the devices stored a treasure trove of sensitive information despite being retired.
iOS Today.
This app is called Here Kitty, and you take your phone and you put the phone upside down somewhere hidden in your house.
Here, kitty. Oh my God. I found Kitty.
20 seconds.
Oh, that's going to drive Lisa crazy. Thank you.
Twit. It's time to see Leo in the cat suit.
Thank you, Jim Cutler. Not going to happen. How did Jim know about the cat suit? Who told him about the cat suit? Oh, man. Our show, oh, God. Our show today brought to you by my mattress. I feel good today. You know, on Wednesday, I was a little out of sorts. It was the end of the world as we know it, and I realized I just needed a good night's sleep. I go to bed on that beautiful Casper mattress. Everything seems just a little bit better. A good night's sleep is the best thing in the world. And if you're sleeping on an old, buckling, bad old mattress, it's time to get yourself a Casper. Casper reinvented the mattress business. They were the ones who did this by eliminating the mattress store. They go direct to you, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the cost. Look at that box. They come in a surprisingly compact box. Direct to you. You open it up. This was a king. I mean, that thing was a small box. You open it up. It smells great. You don't need to air it out. And suddenly you've got an amazing mattress. But here's the best part. Yeah, you don't have a mattress store, so there's no way to try before you buy. You got 100 nights to try that Casper mattress. If at any time in the first 100 nights you decide it's not for you, they'll come, they'll take it away. No, you don't have to get it back in the box, and they'll refund you every penny. Doesn't that look so comfortable? Let's get the kitty. Here, kitty. Here, kitty. Come on, kitty. Oh, you spend a third of your life sleeping, so you should be comfortable. The original Casper mattress, that was the first one we had, combines multiple supportive memory foams for a quality sleep surface with just the right amount of sink and bounce. It's weird. It both supports you and lets you kind of sink into it. It's very comfortable, and that breathable design helps you sleep cool, regulates your body's temperature throughout the night. With over 20,000 reviews, an average of 4.8 stars across Casper, Amazon, and Google, it's becoming the internet's favorite mattress. I'm not surprised. They also offer the Wave, featuring a patent-pending premium support system to mirror the natural shape of your body. The Essential, which is great for students. We sent one to Henry when he went off to college. A streamlined design at a price that won't keep you up at night. And that one I was lying on, that's the brand new one. That's the hybrid. I love this. It combines the pressure relief of the award-winning foam with durable yet gentle springs. It's the first Casper mattress to have springs. And I like it because it gives me firm edge support so I don't roll out. I mean, literally roll out of bed in the morning. I love my Casper pillow. The sheets, even the glow lamp. Casper's the best. And with that 100-night risk-free trial, why not? Casper offers free shipping and painless returns in the U.S. and Canada. If you're having a hard time sleeping these days, and we all are, at least make sure your mattress is comfortable. Get a Casper mattress today. You can save $100 towards select mattresses. All you have to do is go to casper.com/twit1 and use the code TWIT1 at checkout. That's TWIT and the number 1. $100 off select mattresses when you go to casper.com/twit1 and enter the code TWIT1 at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Yes, it's safe for cat claws. We sleep with our 2 cats every night on our Casper. All right. I didn't even, the biggest probably tech story of the week was Apple sneaking out a new 13-inch MacBook Pro. We didn't even mention that all through the show. I don't know if you guys are Mac users, if you care, if you're excited. Anything to say?
Oh,
Rich,
yeah.
you're nodding. You like it?
Yeah, no, I bought the 16-inch MacBook Pro because I had the 13-inch that I bought before with the scissor keys, or whatever they called them, and
God,
it was
they were
terrible.
awful. The butterfly keys.
So bad. I mean, just butterfly.
Ugh. These are the scissors. The scissors are bad.
These are the
baby.
scissor.
Yeah.
Give me the scissor any day, because this is like, I mean, this actually feels like I can actually type again. And the old computer just doesn't. So I'm glad the 13-inch folks now have a reasonable keyboard. And,
I wonder if this is the end of that butterfly keyboard. I think it is, because they came out with the 16 and then the MacBook Air, which I bought, which came out a couple of months ago. And now this one, I have a feeling they're not making any more butterfly laptops. Thank God.
I think that's it. But here's the thing about Apple that's so frustrating. Do you remember when the butterfly keyboard came out? They said it was like the best thing, and the new, it was like, it's like, and now it's gone
For years. And they never
totally
said anything.
failed. Yeah.
They never said, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. That wasn't the best thing. The irony of this is it's still not a great keyboard. There are much better keyboards
absolutely.
out there.
But
it's just no longer unacceptably bad. Yeah.
Right.
They set such a low bar that we're all going, oh, I can almost type on this.
The keys almost push down.
They almost go down.
I've bought probably 4 MacBook Airs over the past whatever number of years. And then one day, Hewlett Packard sent me I don't know what it was, a Spectre, or maybe they were one of their elite books to try out.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was living in this Apple universe that I didn't need to be in anymore.
Yes.
And so I've kind of switched to the HP. I'm pretty happy with it.
I use a Dell. I mean, of course, we have to use both for the shows, but
I do too.
I have a Dell XPS 13, the brand new 2020. Its keyboard is 100 times better than the MacBook Pro or the 16-inch. I haven't tried the new 13. It's just, it's usable. It's got travel. It's soft. It's still thin and light. It hasn't impacted the thickness of the thing.
Way, I don't know if you can see my screen, but try doing this with a MacBook. You can do it once. That's it.
He went all the way around. That's the 2-in-1. Yeah, Apple doesn't make a 2-in-1. Where
they don't make a 2-in-1. They don't make a touchscreen. And I don't know why they don't make a touchscreen. I don't understand that. Unless they don't want to cannibalize their iPhone.
By the way, being home with kids has really, I've gotten 1,001 new perspectives on technology, because number one, voice is everything to them. They use voice for every single interaction. Number two, it's all touch. So my kids, they come up to my computer, they touch the screen because they think it's all touch.
Why doesn't your
and
screen
work? And they don't
work?
understand.
It doesn't work, Daddy.
They sit there and they say, why doesn't your screen have touch? And I'm like, that's a great question, because I mean, we're all so used to it now. And on the computers that the Microsoft one, my kid has the Surface one, and that does have touch. And my kid thinks that's a better computer because it has the touch.
Actually, that's another story this week. Microsoft came out with new Surface. I don't know what Surfaces. I mean, there's not a huge story there. They're updated. They have a new Surface Book. They have a new Surface Go. Surface Book Go was the little one that couldn't. It was a little computer that couldn't. Now it almost can. It's a little bit faster. What the most interesting story, Microsoft story of the week, actually, is the revelation that Microsoft Windows 10 X is going to emerge on single-screen devices. Now, you have to be a Microsoft watcher to understand why that's interesting at all. Microsoft is recreating Windows 10 in I think it's going to be a more robust kind of containerized operating system. So applications will all be isolated. It'll be more secure. It'll be less prone to crashing. But it's such a new way of doing things, there'll be a lot of compatibility issues at first. When Microsoft announced Windows 10X, they said it's going to be for dual-screen devices. And the first one of those is the Windows. Is it the Neo? I think it's the. I confuse the Duo and the Neo.
It's like the Duo and the Neo.
The Duo is Android, and the Neo, I think, is Windows. Now they're saying, no, we're not going to wait for the Neo for a couple of reasons. Because of COVID, I don't think the Neo is going to come out this year. And I think they need to hustle along with Windows 10X because Windows 10 is really starting to show its age. It's getting a little creaky and unreliable.
Yeah.
And
they're trying. I mean, they tried with the Windows S. That's like the one where you can't really install other apps, right?
Yeah,
but this is kind of like from the ground up built that way.
Yes.
Which, as long as they have support from like the Spotifys of the world and all these all these app makers that want to get their app on that platform, it's not a bad idea.
I think it's the future of Windows, to be honest. But it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy road, as always, when you make a big change like this.
Yes.
Yeah, and Microsoft has a way of making changes that are annoying as heck. My latest pet peeve, I've started to use Microsoft Photos to do video editing because it actually does a really good job.
Really?
But I can't figure out how to use it. There are no menus, and I cannot. In fact, the other day I figured out how to import a video, and then I forgot. And I've tried, figuring it out again, but it's impossible because there's nothing intuitive about it.
This is actually my complaint about the iPad as well, which is there's no UI. Everybody who makes the app has to make up a UI, and nothing. There's no discoverability.
No rhyme or reason.
There's no rhyme or reason.
Bill Gates and Steve Jobs got it right back in the early 90s or 80s when they developed Mac OS and Windows with the file menu and all the menus, and it made sense. And Apple, I'll give them credit. Apple still has it, but Microsoft has dropped it on their own apps.
Yeah,
and it just drives me nuts.
Well,
but
Apple doesn't have it on
it's
iOS.
the clean. It's the clean
on iOS
way.
they have to have it.
My 8-year-old is not asking me for the menu bar. I'll tell you that.
No.
Well, your 8-year-old is probably smarter than I am.
And then so do you think that 8-year-olds are able to just intuit how to use an iPad app and they just?
I think the idea is that your app is so simple. Like if you look at something like Snapchat, when I first tried that, if you think about it, it was so complicated to me but at the end of the day, I realized it was kind of a cross, right? You would swipe up for one menu at the bottom.
But you had to figure that out.
You had to figure it out, right? But after you did, to people that use Snapchat, it makes so much sense. And even on Instagram to a small degree, and TikTok especially is the same thing. It's like it's all kind of like swipes.
Maybe
I will
an old
pay
guy.
Your 8-year-old to teach me how to use Photos if he's looking for a gig.
I feel like this. Maybe I've been around too long, but this goes contrary, in my opinion, to the way software should be designed, where all the affordances are discoverable. And there are clues, there are tips for the UI, but the only way you could figure out Snapchat, and I bet Microsoft Photos, is by just going, well, let's see, does this do anything? Does this do anything? Does that do anything? That seems dopey to do that.
But when you're doing video editing, there's a lot of things you need to do, and some of them are obvious, but some of them are really virtually impossible. And I've stumbled on a few things, and some YouTube videos explain it, but I think what they do is they test these things on complete novices that have never used a computer before, and they probably do better on them than if they give you a more traditional program.
It doesn't make sense to them anyway.
How would you ever discover the 3-finger swipe on, the iPad or whatever? You can't discover that. I mean, the only time you discover it is if you do it by mistake and all of a sudden your whole screen changes, like the Zoom thing. A lot of times people, not Zoom, the video conference, but like assistive touch or whatever it is, like the Zoom, people will zoom in their phone and they can't zoom out. And they're like, what's going on here? And they just did like
Roland
a 4-finger
in our chat room
thing.
has a good insight. He says, toddlers and young children are hardwired for surprise. They know nothing. So new and novel things are what they expect. So an 8-year-old just going, I don't know how to use this. I don't know how to use anything.
So simple enough only for a child.
There's a story, and I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but it's instructive about the 10-year-old girl who hacked her Zoom. So with a fake background, it made it look like, and with a video running or something like that, it made it look like she was interested in the class while she went outside and played with the dog. And in the meantime, the mother was worried that she would not know how to use Zoom, right? So
she knew how to use Zoom. Yeah. She figured it out. Yeah. It's a brave new world. And speaking of,
I will just add one thing real quick about the Microsoft stuff.
Please.
I just want to say I tried on their headphones back at the event in, I think it was like October.
Yeah, the new Surface Buds came out today, and the Surface Pro,
And they look so weird, but the Surface Buds actually, out of all the ones I tried on, the Pixel Buds, whatever these are, the AirPods, they actually were the most comfortable and lightweight in my ears. Like they felt like they could be in my ear for the longest out of any of them. So
interesting.
There's nothing weirder looking to me than the original AirPod or whatever it's called.
We all got used to that, didn't we?
It looks like you had a cigarette in your ear to me.
It was the worst look ever. We all mocked it, and now you see it on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody who's on the news shows is
free advertising for Apple. Oh, or actually, they probably supplied them all, now that I think about it.
Probably.
Did they? I don't think they. I think they don't even have to.
I think on some of them it says at the end, like, promotional consideration.
What are you wearing right now there, Rich DeMuro?
This is, I'll be honest, I'm wearing my AirPods because I saw people on network TV wearing them. I said, if they could wear them, I could wear them on, Zoom calls.
It's good enough for Zoom calls. It's good enough for me.
And actually, the audio isn't bad. It's not as bad as you would expect. I know you've got a real microphone, Rich, but you could be using the audio on your
yes, and a lot of network people are. I think the only thing I don't like is how they seal out your ear more so than like what you're wearing, Larry. Like the the standard ones. Those don't seal out your ear. These do, which is a little off-putting.
Earlier, I showed you these are the new Google ones, and they, I like them better visually because they don't stick out as much.
But they have a big circular dot on them. But Rich, when you tried the Microsoft ones, those are really big because they're a swipe surface. It looks like you've got, the kids get gauges in their ears and they make their earlobes bigger and bigger. It looks like you're like a beginner gauge. Like, right?
It's like, you walk down the street, people aren't going to mess with you. They're like, oh, that guy's got a gauge. I'm not messing with him.
He's one of them new primitives I hear about, honey. Stand across the street.
Pixel Buds are swipeable as well. You can do a lot of things by swiping.
And the Pixel Buds, they have a little air chamber in them that actually relieves kind of that tension that you feel in your ear. So I was not on the Google nice list, apparently, because everyone got a pair of these except for me.
Well,
so
you and me both, buddy.
My problem is they don't stay and they keep falling out of my ears. That's my problem.
So here's a young
it.
woman with the new Surface earbuds. Yeah, that looks good. It looks like jewelry on her, doesn't it? Doesn't look that way on me.
It's kind of, hey, you know what?
Goes with my
like
man
I said,
bun.
They were comfortable. They look weird, but they are comfortable. So I'll be curious to see what the uptake is on those.
I have to say, I feel like it's a conspiracy because all these companies, Google got rid of the first Apple got rid of the headphone jack. Yeah. They showed the courage to do that. Then Google followed suit with the Pixel. They got rid of the headphone jack. Samsung even now doesn't have a headphone jack. I feel like it's a conspiracy to get us to buy much more expensive, lower quality Bluetooth headphones and lose them.
You can get a USB headset. I mean, those are available.
Oh, yeah. You have to use your connector. And I guess
you can't walk around.
No.
You
can get a USB-C. Yeah. Google sells one. They're cheap.
Do they ship one in the box? I don't think they do anymore. No.
It's one of these things where, like, the phone is, the price of the phone has gone up. But, it's kind of like the Surface thing. Actually, this is a problem I have with the Surface. If you look at the commercials for the Surfaces, Surfi, whatever, they always show the keyboard case and the pen.
As if you get that.
Exactly. And you don't get that. That's an extra 200, whatever, 250.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So that $399 for the Surface Go, that you don't get that pen, that mouse, that keyboard. No.
No, those are accessories not included, buddy. And
even when you buy cereal and they show you blueberries, they disclose that the blueberries don't come with the cereal.
Suggestion. It's a serving suggestion. They should
cereal boxes used to come with a prize in them when I was a kid. Not anymore.
In my day, cereal boxes would come with rocks in them, so you could. Here, I got to give a trigger warning here. If you're worried about our dystopian future, do not watch this next video. This is the Dynamics robot Spot patrolling a park in Hong Kong to warn people to preserve social distancing. I don't know how widespread this is in Hong Kong. Spot will continue.
It's actually Singapore, I believe.
Oh, did I say Hong Kong? I meant Singapore. You're right. It's in the Straits. Yeah. It is going to be in parks and nature reserves managed by the National Parks Board. Turn up your sound, too, because it's great to hear this thing coming. Watch how people react as this robotic dog creeps up on them.
Oh, my God.
Creep is the right word. It is creepy.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Run. There comes the dog. Get out of there.
Yeah. You think COVID is dangerous.
Well, if a dog came up to me and said, separate, I would. This is RoboCop. This is terrifying.
That thing could be weaponized, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if it kicks you, can you imagine?
Although I did see somebody in the YouTube comments say, you did that in America, it would for sure be kicked over within 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Some neighborhood.
That thing's terminal.
People in Singapore are very well behaved.
It might be attacked by a pack of real dogs.
Yeah, get out of here. It's our turf. I also wanted to mention that the BBC has made available Zoom backgrounds. If you're unhappy with your existing Zoom backgrounds, you can now be living in a TARDIS. Actually, they also have class. I should show you the.
Ooh, it's a classy house.
They have the. Oh, you got to see this. Let me go to the BBC site for this. Here is a BBC sitcom.
That looks like my office.
From Hancock's Half Hour to. I know. Look at these. They have black and white ones. They are. You could be, if your house isn't messy enough. Oh, I'm really tempted to use this. What is that? A stack of hula hoops? Orange crates? What the hell is going on in this one? I don't know.
Order.
Isn't that great, though? See, I want to go the opposite direction. Rich says I've got a nice, tidy house. I want to have this in the background. I think, anyway, these are all available for free from the BBC.
And then you get a visit from Adult Protective Services the next day.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am, we got to report you growing something in the background there. And finally, let's see. I wanted to mention. I wanted to end on an up note. Let me see if I can find the other final story. Final story. No, it's not TikTok stars who are struggling to make money.
Oh, I love that story.
Really?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You want to do
It's
that?
so sad. It's like you're literally working at Burger King, but you have millions of fans on TikTok. I mean, it's the irony of our life right now. The world we live in.
There's no way to monetize. It was this hazmat inspired suit lets you dance, drink, and vape while you're staying safe from the virus in clubs. It has an N95 filter, battery-powered suit controlled by a smartphone. I sure would like to get this.
Then you die from vaping.
This is an LA company that created this, and I actually told my producer we need to figure out if this is just literally just a computer-generated thing, or if they actually made one, because I want to put this thing on.
They call this the Micra Shell from Production.Club. I feel like it's made up, don't you? But I would wear this. I would wear this everywhere. I would be known as the Micra Shell guy. I'll do it for you. I'll wear it on all the shows.
That has to cost a lot.
Vape pen not included. It's got an air.
How do you vape through a screen?
You
probably
have the vape inside with you.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Filtered air. Sign up for updates. Rich, would you let me know if you get this thing? I want one too.
It looks like something that was 100% created inside a computer screen, and they're going to get publicity. Right, exactly. Yeah. Now, if you want to look up, what is it? Under the Weather, the umbrella pod, I think it is. And this company is pivoting to, they made like umbrellas that you put on, like a pod, like a rain pod that you put over yourself.
Yeah.
And now they're pivoting to selling these things as like protective, like, hey, you want to be in your own little pod.
This is the same thing the guy who cuts your hair had.
That's what I'm talking about. There it is.
This is exactly what he was doing. He was wearing an umbrella pod with armholes cut into it. And I think this is it. Look at that. Oh, where can I get these? They were on Shark Tank. That's you, Rich DeMuro.
That's me. Yes.
Wearing an umbrella pod.
This is Leo. I've been covering tech news for 15 years. I recorded this video out in the rain, and it went viral like nothing I've ever done in my life. Maybe not on YouTube. It was on Facebook and Instagram, but I couldn't believe it.
I think it took guts to wear a pink shirt, but it turns out it works perfectly with the baby blue Under the Weather pod.
See,
you don't look at all dorky.
So have you used this? Have you used this since then? I mean, is this
the saddest part of this whole story to end cap? And I think this did 2 million views on Facebook.
Wow.
And I gave it to Goodwill. I brought it. It was like one of those things you just dump out of the back of your car to
because this was one day. February of last year.
Oh yeah.
When nobody knew that they were going to want to wear this all the time.
Nobody knew.
Rich, how could you not see the great potential in the walking pod from Under the Weather? Ladies and gentlemen, that's Rich DeMuro. You see him on KTLA. If you see him walking around in one of these suits, it's okay not to cross the street. He's safe. Rich, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
RichOnTech.tv, at Rich DeMuro. Actually, it's Rich on Tech on Twitter, too, these days, on Instagram, on Facebook. He's the man to follow. It's always great to see you, Rich. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leo.
I really appreciate it. Thank you also to Larry Magid. He is CBS News Radio's Larry Magid. ConnectSafely.org. Now that I'm back on Facebook, I follow you. And by the way, you posed a question on Facebook I wanted to answer. You mentioned that there was potentially a corona cluster at CES.
Yes, and I saw you at CES. My last day there, we hung out.
You tagged everybody who you'd met at CES saying, you know, are you okay? I never got coronavirus, and I did get an antibody test, one of the ones offered by Quest, and I'm negative.
Okay, so, I haven't been tested, but I had a wicked flu right after CES, and I had taken the flu shot. My wife got it. My kids got it. I don't know. And we do know now that the first death, I think in California, certainly the first death in Santa Clara County, was somebody who had been to CES. So it's not out of the question that one
that was
could,
a vector. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I got it. I don't know if I got it. I'm fine now, but I did go through a pretty nasty flu-like situation in mid-January.
Yeah, Lisa was really sick too. And that's why we wanted to go get the test. She was negative and I was. So there's the flu still, right?
So I talked about it with my doctor, and he said, so if you are positive, what's going to happen? I said, nothing, because we don't know if I have immunity.
Right.
He said, then don't bother taking it. So he's not going to write me a prescription because there's nothing we would
You can do it without a prescription at Quest Labs all over the country.
Quest, yeah. Yep. But then you have to expose yourself to Quest Labs.
Well, it was very dystopian because they spread the appointments out. My son came right after me, but they spread it out in such a way that you never see anybody. You arrive at the lab. The waiting room is empty. There's nobody at the desk. There's a kiosk. You scan your thing. You sit down, although I wasn't going to sit down. They told me later, oh, no, we disinfect after each client. Somebody in the back goes, Leo. You go in the back. She's dressed in one of those things that Rich was just wearing.
Right.
And she takes your blood, and then you leave. So it's fair. I feel like it's fairly.
Maybe I'll try it. There's also a guy. There's also a company that will come out to your house, and they said they would come to my driveway. Actually, Marissa Meyer sent me a note to tell me about that. And then the problem with Quest Labs,
there's a name drop.
It's a clever idea. Yeah, no, she had her. I guess I don't know how. I'll have to ask her how it came out, but she had her family tested. It's not cheap. I mean, it's like $150 for them to come.
Well, the Quest is
$50 for every.
Oh, the Quest is $130, and you go to them. Yeah,
you go to them.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think that's the new thing is everybody says, oh, yeah, I had it. I remember I was really sick in December or January. Right.
Yeah, the New York Times did a story basically saying a lot of people think they had it. Yeah. And I don't know if I had it. I just know that I had
Steve
symptoms.
Gibson thinks he had it. My son, who had a legitimate story because he had been in Vietnam and Bali, we finally forced him to come home end of March. He self-quarantined after he got home. About 7 days into the quarantine, he was sick. And we thought, oh, he must have had COVID because how else would you have got it? He tested negative too. So
that's good.
Yeah. Well, is it?
Well, no,
I kind of wish if I could have had it. Yeah, I would have.
No, I'm hoping I had it, but I'm hoping I never get it.
I think best case scenario is you didn't know you had it, and you test it, and you had it.
Right. Exactly.
But all I know is that at some point, a lot of people are going to have it, and some of us on this show, not all of us, are over 60, and technically at higher risk.
Rich. You're the
guy.
You're the guy. After this, we're all gone. Anyway, so I thought I would bring that up, Larry, because I knew you were curious about that, and we really did dodge a bullet. Had this hit a month earlier, maybe.
Oh yeah,
CES could have been the cluster to beat all clusters. It could have been a mess.
Absolutely.
It doesn't look like it was. That thousands of people came home with COVID.
But I have a feeling there will be no CES 2021. I could be wrong.
I'm never going to CES again. Everybody always gets sick at CES. What were we thinking? Right?
Everyone gets sick in a healthy year. So it's
what were we thinking?
I'll be honest. I love CES, but I will enjoy the year off from CES. Yeah. I will be just fine.
Yeah. And also, thank you. Anyway, catch Larry, connectsafely.org, larrysworld.com. You'll hear him on CBS all over the country. It's always great to see. I had 3 radio guys on with me. This was the radio guy show.
We sound good.
That's awesome.
Other than Rich, we may not look good, but we sound good. You look okay.
Well, that's the beauty of radio. You could sound good. And then people meet you and go, oh, that's what you look like. Oh, hi. Doc Searles, it's so great to have you as part of our
It's
Twitch
great to be here.
family.
It's a lot of fun.
You and
It's a
your
lot of fun.
Akai 4-quad, 4-channel tape
This side,
deck.
it's on that side.
And
there's a stack of Linux journals over on the other side.
even
There we
better.
are, yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
So is this going to be where you're going to do the show from on Wednesday?
Yeah,
I
it'll
like
be
it.
here. I have 2 new lights up here.
It looks
but I think
great.
I would have to do better than that.
And I like seeing
despite
the
the backlight.
greenery. I really like it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you look like Edward R. Murrow with that mic. I just want you to cup your ear from now on when you
Yeah, I
do the
can do
show.
that.
Doc, it's great to have you. Searles.com, @DocSearles. You catch him on a Zoom call. How many hours a day do you Zoom these days?
I was about to say most of them. A lot of them. I mean,
I Zoomed 3 I did 3
as much
calls
as you meet
on Friday.
As much as you meet with people, you're doing it on Zoom.
Right.
Some of them are on other platforms, but but Zoom is like Googling.
Yeah, it's like
nobody
Googling a
bings
Kleenex.
anything.
But after 3 calls in one day, I thought, I don't understand how people do this. It's exhausting.
It is.
I thought I had the immunity because I do it all day, every day.
I'm getting eye strain because of it.
It's terrible. Anyway, it's great to see all 3 of you. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to all of you, too. We will keep doing Twit as long as we can, struggling along in the new era of COVID.
In the nursing home.
Wherever it is I happen to be, except 6 feet under. I don't think we've figured out a microphone that'll work down there. But if you want to join us, we do it live every Sunday evening about 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, 21:30 UTC. You can stream it live, audio or video, at twit.tv/live. If you're doing that, join us in the chat room, irc.twit.tv. In fact, that is something everybody should keep in their back pocket. If you're getting lonely, if you feel some need for geek companionship, there is somebody in our chat room 24/7 because we have listeners all over the world. So whatever time zone you're in, it's a wonderful place moderated with really nice people, irc.twit.tv. Think of that as your family of geeks. They're always there. And thank you, chat. It's great to have you. If you want to see the shows at your convenience, on-demand versions always available of everything we do from our website, of course, twit.tv, but also on YouTube. You can ask your Amazon Echo at any time. Hey, Amazon Echo, play. All you have to do is say, play This Week in Tech podcast, and it'll play it. No matter where you are, we are available for you. Best thing to do, though, take your mobile device, put a podcast client on there, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Stitcher, Slacker, Google's podcasts, Apple's podcasts. We don't care. We're on all of them. Put a podcast app on there and subscribe. That way, you don't ever think about it. You'll have a copy of Twit available whenever you're in the mood. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe week. We'll see you next time. Another Twit is in the can. Bye-bye.